What if I told you, in 1 week, using one little tiny easy technique on the trumpet, you could increase your range by 1/2 step? Stay tuned, because it's true, and you're going to find out today. This is the trumpet lesson and how to play higher notes on the trumpet. And by the way, I have a real sweetener at the end of this video. It's a bonus that will actually turbocharge the technique I'm going to give to you today. Now, the trumpet technique that I'm going to show you today has really helped me, Kurt Thompson, improve my range in years past. This technique is the real deal, my friends. It really worked for me. And thanks to this one technique that I'm going to show you today, you're really going to be able to play 1/2 step higher on the trumpet in 1 week. It worked for me, it's worked for my students, and I know it will work for you. It's possible you may be saying to yourself, Kurt always seems to be able to play pretty high and pretty good in the upper register. How is this technique really going to help me, because I can't play that well above high C? Friend, I got to tell you, I was just like you long ago. There was a time, once upon a time ago, in a land far away, where I would pick up my horn after being warmed up and sound like this. It's true. This is not a joke. I wasn't born with a double C in my mouth. I was just in your same shoes at one point in time. And unfortunately back then, there was no internet, there were no cell phones, and there were no high note trumpet teachers. There were no trumpet teachers that I knew of that specialized in the embouchure I was trying to attain, at least where I lived. So I was kind of stuck and had to figure out most of this on my own. Knowing that I was just like you, where you are today, should give you some hope, should give you some faith. That if you follow somebody who's actually able to practice what they preach, that means be able to play what they're trying to get you to be able to do, or what you're dreaming of doing, you're likely to really succeed, as long as you adhere to the specific directions and teachings of that particular person. In this video, of course, that's going to be me. Now, this video lesson here, this trumpet lesson, comes with a warning. I'm not going to be giving you that same old boring advice that you probably have already heard about. Play long tones. Do lip slurs. And try taking things up an octave. You've heard that before, and if you haven't, you're going to hear it real soon when you get with your local trumpet instructor, or if you're studying as a music major at college. So we're not going to go into that. Everybody knows about that, or everybody can find out about that easily. Now, a lot of you probably know who I am, but just in case, I don't want to assume anything, my name is Kurt Thompson. I teach trumpet, trombone, French horn, tuba, baritone, euphonium, flugelhorn, cornet. I teach all the brass instruments, embouchure, and embouchure strengthening routines and tutorials. And my website is... By the way, if you're not already a subscriber, before we really wade into the weeds of this particular trumpet lesson, go ahead and click subscribe. You might find it down there, or maybe right around there. Click subscribe and then hit that little bell notification, and you'll be alerted every time I upload a new trumpet lesson type video. Or lately I've been doing performances. You may get a kick and be entertained out of some of the different trumpet solos that I do.
We'll be right back. We do this for you folks because we like you and only because we like you and because you're people of high morals and personal integrity and because your good looks is only exceeded by your enormous generosity. I think they bought that.
Hold on, folks. There's more.
All right, let's dive right into this amazing technique, this trumpet lesson that's going to help you pop up your range, your high notes, at least 1/2 step increase in 1 week. And by the way, this is part 4 in this series. If you haven't already seen the other 3 installments in this particular series of increasing your range in 1 week, I'll leave a link in the description and I may be able to add an end screen for that too. All right, here we go. We're going to dive right into part 4 of increasing your range on your trumpet in 1 week by 1/2 step. Here is the technique, folks, and remember, stay to the end of this video and I will give you a bonus technique that will really turbocharge the technique you're going to get from me right now. Let's dive right in. The technique that if you start practicing today and count 7 days and do it each day, that will increase your range by 1/2 step is playing extremely soft in the upper register.
Kurt, that's too simple. How could that work? How could playing so soft in the upper register really help my range? It's counterintuitive and it don't make any sense.
Hey, listen, there are some pretty good players that have used this technique to really jack up their range. I also have used it. I started using it years and years ago. There's something uncanny, something counterintuitive, maybe even illogical about playing extremely soft in the upper register that allows you to build your range. And what's illogical about it? Well, when you're playing upstairs in the high register, usually you're thinking that you're playing loud, right? Think Maynard Ferguson, think Doc Severinsen, think any of these guys that you like, they play upstairs, they're not playing squeaky high notes, they're playing full on fortissimo trumpet high notes. But this technique of playing extremely softly in the upper register really works. Number 1, your goal is to play up to your maximum range or maybe slightly higher. Number 2, now this is critical. You're going to play so soft that the tone is not going to sound that good. In fact, if you find yourself playing this technique and your tone still sounds pretty or clear or good, you're likely not doing this technique correctly. Number 3, you're going to take the mouthpiece off your lips and repeat that top target note 5 times. Number 4, refer back to number 2. If you actually sound good on this, you're doing it wrong, my friends. Your note should come out extremely soft, scratchy. Intonation may not be good. It's going to feel like you're right on the edge of going into silence. Okay, let's dig in with an example. And I'm going to do 2 different scales. You can do this on scales. That's how I recommend it. I recommend that you just start with scales. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this technique on 2 different scales to accommodate most players out there watching this video. One will be a decently high scale, but probably most of you can get.
And the other one will be brutally high.
Let's do it on the E flat major scale first. Now here's how it should normally sound. Sound good, right? Now with this technique, it's gonna sound pretty horrible. Warning, bad tone, everything is about ready to happen right now. But pay careful attention to what I do. That had to be 4 P's, folks. I mean, it was so soft. It was almost ready to fade into silence. Listen again. This is the E flat major scale. Then I want you to take the horn off your mouth and then repeat that top note 5 times. Off, 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 off. All right, I think that was 5 times. The purpose of taking the horn off your chops back and forth is to allow you to maintain the embouchure set. and to get used to feeling where that note is. Now, if you're doing this technique correctly, you should be able to play, while doing this technique, a half step to a whole step higher than you normally do. Now, that's not the range increase I'm talking about that you're going to get after 1 week. Just doing this technique will allow you to go a little higher than your max range because you're using no pressure to stop the vibrations in your lips, and you're also not blowing too much air to blow your aperture apart. These two things will allow you to play higher than you normally do if you learn this technique correctly. Okay, let's do the other scale now for you people that already have a little bit of range. Let's do it normally first. And now with this super duper extreme soft playing technique. Off. 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 All right, I think that was 5. By the way, this technique not only works for trumpet, it works for trombone,
Tuba.
French horn, euphonium, and baritone. And of course it works for flugelhorn and cornet and E-flat cornet. All right, guys, it's a beautiful day in June. We're about the middle of June 2020, and you can see looking out my backyard, it's just a gorgeous summer day. I'm really enjoying this day. In fact, I'm about ready to head to Starbucks. I'm glad that you stuck with me this long in this video. I hope that you learned something. Now, I talked to you about a bonus at the end of this video. So for those of you who've watched this far, now you're going to get the bonus from me. That will turbocharge the technique that I just gave you. No joke. The bonus technique that will turbocharge the technique you just received is simple. I want you to also try this technique. It's not either or. I want you to do it both ways. Do it the way I just showed you, but also try doing the same technique on a half tank of air. You know what I mean? What I mean is I want you to take a big breath like normal, but I want you to exhale 50% of that air and then try the same very technique. Let's go back to the E-flat major scale and see what happens. So now we're applying the bonus turbocharging technique to the technique I just showed you at the beginning on the E-flat major scale. Here's how it works. I'm gonna take a big breath, but you're gonna hear me exhale about 50% of my air. Inhale, and then exhale 50%. What's going on there is you're forcing all the mechanism inside your body to still continue to play this technique, but you got like one arm tied behind your back because you don't have a full tank of air. What's happening is you're putting the extra squeeze with your intercostal muscles, your abdomen muscles, and all the muscles that would all fire and squeeze more compressed air, and that's the first stage of compression. You're really developing that. That combined with the original technique I taught you today is a turbocharging technique, and almost guarantee, actually it will guarantee your half step increase in range after 7 days of doing this technique. Now, be honest, after having watched this trumpet lesson video and this really cool technique of playing extremely soft, remember, if you still sound pretty and your tone sounds great when you're doing this technique, you're doing it wrong. It has to be scratchy, wavering, probably out of tune, not perfect on the accuracy. That's how it needs to go. It's got to be that soft. So I'm really curious, are you going to try this technique? Let me know in the comment section. Are you going to try this technique and add that bonus that I gave you to really supercharge and turbocharge your results? Or are you going to try both of these techniques?
Don't lie.
The original that I gave you plus the super enhanced bonus part of the technique. You're gonna try them both together. Let me know in the comment section. Yes, don't be afraid to leave a comment. I try to answer as many comments as I possibly can. I'm Kurt Thompson, TrumpetSizzle.com. and I really hope you enjoyed this trumpet lesson video. Like it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, my friends.